Hey everybody, and thanks for tuning into the AFE factory. So here's another well overdue video on the Geschützwagen. I just looked at the last video I posted, and yeah, I should have done something quite a while ago because I've jumped quite far forward since the last time you saw it. But yeah, I'll go through it and I can show you what I've been doing, and you'll see where I've been. So it's all painted now. Everything is painted. So I have started on some of the weathering. As I said before in the last video, I went for all one colour, and now that it's all painted up, I'm pleased that I have. I think it's going to look good once it's weathered. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. As I said before, it's a big piece of plastic to weather and start to make it look less plasticky, but I think I can do it justice. So yeah, as I said, it was all painted in that one colour. I've highlighted some areas, the engine grills, etc. I just went over those with a brown colour, and then the hatches and the tops of these armoured covers with a lighter variation of the main colour. It looks quite bright and stark on this video, but actually in real life it's not as over the top as it might look. And obviously, as you know, once it's weathered, all of that will dull right down and merge to a degree. So I started off on the inside, and what I did is I just threw a big wash of titanium, buff titanium, and just let it settle there. I've gone for a summer campaign, so it's going to be dusty. Obviously this is all open to the elements, and so it will get dirty inside quite quickly, obviously with the crew operating in there and the guns operating. This is just the initial base wash, so I will go over it again with some darker colours, pick out some of these panel lines, etc, and it won't look quite as maybe over the top as it does now. It's just in its very first stage. I've got the gun carriage and the rails that it sits on. They're ready for some weathering. Everything's been varnished in preparation, so that sits in there, and that obviously it fills up that big gap, but already some of the weathering that I've done is covered up. But what I didn't want to have is these gaps or areas on the inside where if you looked in you would see unweathered clean paint, because I think that's probably a bit unrealistic. It doesn't necessarily want to be done as much, especially on these vertical sides that you can see in here, as the floor obviously. But so yeah, I will go over this in the same manner with the same colour, but to a lesser degree. This plate will obviously need some more work doing to it, because that is what lays down on the ground if the gun is extracted from the chassis. So there's more work to be done there. I've done a bit of chipping. I've tried not to go too crazy with it. I've tried to reel myself in a bit. Areas where there's just corners, etc., paint naturally gets chipped off. More so on this plate here, where obviously the crew are operating. It's a bit shiny at the moment. That's from the varnish, because it's a semi-gloss varnish. Obviously when all this is finished it will all be matte, so you won't have that shine. So again, early stages, there's a lot to do to kind of bring it together and have a more natural look. I've started just the other day on the lower chassis, so I've just started doing some work on that again with artist oils, buff titanium again originally, and then I've used some burnt umber, and I will work some more on that. I'll get some engine oil and go around some of these areas and just make this more than it is now. It's a good start. I'm happy with the look, but it needs some more work done onto it. I might go over it again and do some areas with some pigments. That is a decision I shall make once I've finished with the oil paints, and once that's reached a stage, I can then decide whether or not to add some pigments. Yeah, so I don't know yet about that. I've also been doing a fair bit of work on the wheels. So, pull some of these free. I don't know if that looks like it might be. I don't know whether this is focusing or not. I can never tell until I watch it back. But hopefully you get the general idea. They were all, again, initially they were all different shades. That difference is less obvious now because of the weathering, the chipping again that I did. So yeah, I'm pleased with how they're coming along. I've got essentially one set done, the inners, and I've got the outers to do next. And more bits and pieces besides that. So yeah, but I've been working on these the last week, I suppose, and they're getting there. And again, whether I go dust those with some pigments or do some work, it depends. I won't know until I get to the stage and look at it, and then I'll have to make a decision there. And finally, where's the barrel? So the barrel's all painted now. As I said, I was going to do it in a grey, and I ended up using this Tamiya lacquer IJN grey, Imperial Japanese Navy, I'm guessing that is, which was the colour I was looking for. It's not too light, but not too much black on it. I did the muzzle brake with one of the AK interactive pens, the paint pens. I bought a set of those, and I like how they work. Certainly for things like this, it's easy to do on that. Likewise on the breech block, which is an aluminium. I did some did an investigation, if that's the right word I'm trying to use, as to what colour this should be, because I have seen them where they've been painted green or they've been painted the same colour as the inside of the vehicle. But according to the great interweb, these were never painted. They were just left as bare metal and then wiped over with a coating of oil to keep the any corrosion or rusting at bay. So yeah, so that will be staying silver. I haven't done the breech block yet. That's still a slightly darker colour. But so yeah, we are getting things are happening, and I enjoy the weathering, as most people do, so it should start to progress steadily from now on. It's quite good using oils because you can't just go day after day after day. You've got to apply your oil paint, as in whether it's a wash or a pin wash or whatever you're doing, and then you have to leave it to dry, because otherwise if you go over it again with another different colour with a brush soaked in thinner, all it's going to do is start removing the work that you did before. So yeah, it's a couple of days, 2 or 3 days to be left, which gives you time to sort of think about it, and it slows you down deliberately, and I find that quite handy, because I can come back and look at it, and then I'll come back and look at it again, and by the time it's ready to receive some more paint, I've got a better idea of what else I want to do with it. So there, yeah, I'll leave it at that, and as per usual, I won't drag on as I can do, but thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully I shall try and get a video out sooner rather than later next time round, because otherwise it will be done by the next video. So yeah, many thanks, and I'll catch up with you soon.